I hope you guys are having a fantastic time at PyCon, because I am definitely having a fantastic time. And there is no better way to share and discuss and bring out your sharing up here in the platform in terms of lightning talks. And we are going to start with the startup lightning talks. As Kelvin has mentioned in the morning, we have 10 startups who are using Python-based technologies in their startups every day. And we have some fun sharing by them. So all the startups, today we will start with 5 startups. Each of them will have 8 minutes. So very first speaker, we have Thomas from Dasher. Thomas, big, huge applause for the Dasher team. Dasher team, where are you? I think they are sitting right there. To your left, so go and visit their booth. They are a startup and intelligent web platform to kickstart any selling activities within minutes. I wonder how they do that with Python. So without further ado, Thomas from Dasher, your 8 minutes starts now.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Before I continue to start about Dasher more, may I ask how many of you sell your items in the internet before? Okay, actually it's more than what I expected, but never mind. Basically, what Dasher plan to be is to make selling process as easy as possible. We understand that a lot of people not selling their stuff online because there are too much hassle, whether it's setting a price for your items, putting up the right description, go to the right marketplaces, etc., etc. So Dasher is there. Dasher is here to basically suggest the correct price for your items, posting it to multiple marketplaces, and even matching you with the correct buyer from the internet. So if you guys interested more towards the Dasher products, you can talk with us later on that site. Engineering-wise, before we build Dasher, we have 2 clear goals in mind. So we want to have a product, an infrastructure that allows the developer to make a fast product development. And the second one is to have a quick iteration speed on our product, because we understand that as a startup, sometimes you want your button to be on the right side, sometimes you want your button in the left side. So we don't want these small changes takes too much effort on our programmer sides. So before we build Dasher, there are few languages that comes into our mind, basically. Okay, first one is PHP, the most important one, the most famous language, but it's out of the equation pretty fast because we understand that the more you develop using PHP, if you don't code it well, it's getting messy pretty quickly. So we come out with Python, and it left us with 2 big frameworks that we consider good for Python. The first one is Django. I think most of you knows Django pretty well here. And the other one is Pyramid. So we try both. We feel that Django is super powerful, everything is there, but we know that in the future we probably want to make infrastructure that fits well into our own product. So we don't really feel that Django is a best decision for us. So we choose Pyramid for our primary web stack. When we choose Pyramid, we start develop using Pyramid. We know that this Pyramid actually come together with this Chameleon templating language, basically to make your HTML, when you write your HTML, to make everything easier, they have this Chameleon templating language. So we feel that there is something lacking here, because when you develop using Python and then you want to create your own view on HTML, you need to switching the language. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, for us, it's pretty hard to put the logic inside the Chameleon. Let's say you want to make some logic. Let's say your first item you want to highlight it, or your last item you want to make it put a star on it. It's very hard for us to make this customization level using Chameleon. So using our own Pyramid framework, we heavily modify it, and we create our own templating language in Python. So currently our own web stack, everything written in Python from backend until the view wise. that's one thing. It's super leveraging for us to be able to use Python from the first one until the last process of our development flow. Then the second one, we want to create a web framework that has this interactivity feature that is live, that if you open your page there, it will automatically update if there is any updates. But like what I mentioned previously, we don't want this live updating feature to get in your developer ways. I don't want to ask my developer to hard code everything. So if there's these changes, you should polling it, this kind of thing. We don't want this to happen. So with the help of Tornado, we create an abstraction so that every single component in our web stack is automatically updated if any other user change the data in our database. So we are leveraging Memcache and using Tornado to make these things happen. And it works pretty well for us currently. And the last thing that we feel it's very good about Python is the existence of this library called Fabric. Basically, Fabric will help you when you are scaling yourself up. You're playing around with your Amazon instances. You create a new app instance. You delete one app instance. You want to be able to fully control whatever you do in one single dashboard. So Fabric allows you to actually adding everything and automate whatever deployment process that you think really important for your website. So these three web stack actually really helps us in building the shell to allow the developer to build the product and iterate the product as fast as they could. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. That's from Dashell. Next up, we have Info3, and that is Sandeep. So in the morning, we heard a lot about big data and also a little bit about financial data. So Sandeep here from Info3 will be speaking to us how to handle not only big data, but also unstructured data. I wonder how that he'll be doing it with Python technologies. So here he also has some slides, and I will let Sandeep speak about it.
Hello, I am Sandeep, CTO at Info3 Financials. We are into a news analytics domain in financials. So let me give a background on what is news analytics before I go ahead with giving what our company does and about Python itself. So I had a chart in my presentation, that's why I wanted to connect my PC there. So if on April 23rd this year, there was a market event which was widely reported in the news media. It was like there was a hack into the AP account, and there was a fake tweet. The tweet appeared at around 7:10 p.m. I think Eastern time, so something, and within seconds the market dropped, and in 3 minutes there was a drop of around 144 point something, and then the market regained its level. So it was like within seconds it happened, and within 3 minutes the whole thing went back to the normal level. So all this signifies is the speed by which the news is being processed by the news, and the information is being processed by the engines, the trading engines, and then how they trade upon them, how fast they trade upon them, and also how fast the validation systems they kick in once they find that the news was fake. So this particular example is quite of an unlikely event, like which may not happen. But however, the fact remains that in stock trading, information is the most important commodity. Information about the company's earnings, dividends, their product releases, their the executive changes, etc., have a predictive power which can be used for efficient decision making. So, Info3 provides this kind of news analytics solution for its clients. We track equities, forex, bonds, and commodities. So what we do essentially is we gather information from the news sources, blogs, social media, and private sources, and collect it together with the market data, and come out with a classification system. We classify it by various domains, etc., and then we run the sentiment analysis on this. We identify the trends, the events around this, and then come out with a visualization of this kind of information. So essentially, this would be like sentiment charts, etc. So we have our own apps. We launched a product. We started our company last year. We launched our own apps few weeks back. So it's on iPhone and Android. Soon we will be launching on the Bloomberg as well. On a Bloomberg, it will be on a Bloomberg terminal as well. So Python is something that we use a lot in our system. We are essentially a text analytics company, and it means we have to use natural language processing. So Python has a very rich support for that. We use NLTK for that a lot. NLTK is something that a whole lot of things are there in NLTK for linguistic computational purpose. Typically the use cases run from, like, we take the documents, parse the documents into paragraphs and then sentences, and then split the words into the grammatical tags, etc. Then run the part of speech tags on that. Then find out the chunk, do the chunking, do the entity detections, and then from there come out with the patterns, and on top of that run some clusterings, etc. to find out the events that is happening. So that's the whole trend of things that we use Python for. That's one thing that we use Python for, linguistic part. The other part is as a glue language, the various part of our system, like the data crawling part and the information sourcing, that also is done by Python. So essentially, it brings our system together. It's quite a useful framework, brings our system together. We use a lot of other languages as well, but Python is one of the core component of our system. So that's.
Thank you, Sandeep. Wow, financial data, natural language processing, and unstructured data. Great, so next up we have Brian from Shopping. And while he connects, let me give you a brief introduction to Shopping. It brings online shops to our mobile phones, iPhones currently. And it is the easiest way to browse online on the iPhone.
Yeah, so hello, my name is Brian. We are based in Singapore, so we just launched Shopping 3 months ago. So Shopping is the easiest, we think is the easiest way to browse shops on iPhone. Who knows someone who buys online, from online shops or blog shops? Anyone? Right, so so I'm just going to talk about these 3 things today. What are we trying to do? If you're Singaporean, right? Okay, we are based in Singapore and our market is primarily Singapore. So if you're Singaporean, you will know that ladies who shop from Love Bonito, Ministry of Retail, or various other shops, right? And the experience of browsing on iPhone, if you are using iPhone, is that you will turn on Mobile Safari and sorry, give me a second. So let's imagine this is Mobile Safari, and basically you will get screens size like this, right? And this is really not browsable. You can either zoom in, pinch out, and is really not browsable on mobile phone. So what we do is that we crawl the website, and with the data, right, we try to put it on iPhone in a nicer way. So for example, right, so all these are a list of shops, and by tapping on it, user can just flip through content this way, instead of pinching and zooming. So what else? So that's what we are trying to solve, to be able to browse through content easily on iPhone. Yeah, obviously you guys are not ladies, you are not my target audience, but it's okay, right? I'm a programmer. So Shopping is made up of programmers. We are a group of 5 people, and interestingly, there's no salespeople, no marketers, all programmers. So we are a company of programmers, and we intend to stay that way. So we are hiring, we are looking for people. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Brian from shopping, an online way to shop online using your iPhone. Great, and next up, we have a little finance application, and guess what? That's with friends. So anytime you want to, you go for dinner parties and you want to split the bill, guess what? Billpin helps us do that, track how much we owe one another in a group of friends. And to explain how Billpin uses Python technologies, we have Ruben, who will be telling us about Python, Billpin, and friends.
So hi everyone, I'm Raywan from Billpin. As Sayani introduced just now, Billpin is an application that allows you to share bills with friends. So it's very easy. If you're living in a shared household, if you're going out for dinner with friends, you can choose to pay first and then record the split bill with your friends. So this keeps dealing with money very, very easy amongst a close group of friends. And we're here because we are a Python shop. We use Python for all our stuff. Just a series of milestones that we've been through over the past year or so. Launched iOS first in August 2012, mobile web September 2012, all the way to desktop web. This year in February, acquired Billmonk in April, launched Facebook integration in May, and we're still trying to figure out our revenue model. But the point is, we've been busy over the past year since August last year, and all this has been powered by Python on the back end, right? Our technology. We use Flask on the back end, and that's riding on top of Heroku, Flask of course, and Sentry and Behave. Now these are the two technologies that I want to talk about today, Sentry and Behave, because this allows us very good visibility into how our app is running, and allows us to very quickly iterate. So it allows us to push out improvements and iterations to our application, as you can see, as we have done over the past year. Let's talk about Sentry. Sentry is a logging application. So as you know, when you have a lot of platforms, for us we have something like 4 or 5 different platforms connecting to a central API that's running on Flask. And sometimes things may break, data may not come across as we expect, and we need a lot of visibility into the types of things that are happening on our server, and Sentry allows us to do that. Sentry is a logging control panel that you can integrate with your code, and whichever exceptions that you may have missed out, you might have caught, or you can explicitly log error messages that are happening. It presents it to you in this very nice console here, so you have an instant bird's eye view as to the errors that are happening in your app. So you can zoom into specific errors. You can see a graph of how many times this error has occurred over the past week, the past 24 hours or so, and that tells you how well certain portions of your code are running. And this part is very useful, right? Because print statements are so yesterday, right? So instead of littering our code with print statements, Sentry, combined with its libraries, help us capture a stack trace, capture the state of all variables that are in the system at that point in time. So we can very easily dive into the various stack frames and analyze what data is present, what's causing the error. It's data as we expect, all right? So for a small startup that really needs a clear idea of what's happening within the app, Sentry is a very good tool to gain visibility in that. Some additional features that Sentry provides allows you to sort your errors by various loggers available in Python. Oh, by the way, Sentry runs on top of the built-in Python logging facility. So if you look at the logging module, that integrates very nicely into Sentry, so you don't have to do very much extra code. So implementation, everybody wants to know. This is how we set up Sentry in Flask, right? Brief summary is that we hook it up to the handle exception function you see here, right? We hook it up to the got exception signal in Flask. That means whenever an exception happens, it captures that, puts it into Sentry, and we get the report. Right? This is how we configure the Python logging facility. As you can see, we define a Sentry handler that's on top, and we say for a specific logger, we have Billpin, Billpin worker, Billpin DB, and all these 3 loggers channel directly into our Sentry handler. Right? I won't go into the specifics of how the Python logging facility works. You guys can read up on yourself. But okay. The other one I want to talk about is Behave. Behave is a testing framework. It's a BDD framework that allows us to define test cases or test scenarios in plain English. Right? So as you can see here, the scenario I'm testing is an invalid login. So given a certain set of conditions, when a user takes an action, then we expect certain conditions to be fulfilled. Right? So plain English, everybody from the technical guys to the product manager can understand what's going on here. We interpret that, we change that into Python code that runs the actual test, and we run the test. I apologize for the formatting, but you get the idea, right? In conjunction with behave, we actually use this library called mocks, right? Python mock. And what Python mock does is it allows you to severe the connections between a backend, for example. So if I'm communicating with a backend, I don't actually have to do that. In my tests, I use mock to mock the response. So if I expect a login response, for example, here, right? I can say, from my DB module, I'm going to mock out my DB module here, and I'm going to say, for the login call, provide this response. And in my tests, I run the login, and then I can assert that the login call was called with some particular variables. Right? So this allows us to very finely control and finally test the various components of our application. So that, in overview, is what we do in Billpin and the Python components that run behind it. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time to discuss what is up next for Billpin. Right now, we are a very simple application that allows you to track bills with friends. But being very interested in finance, we're also wondering, what is the next step, right? Money is a very sensitive issue to us all. And especially in the world of startups, if you can't make money, if you can't take money, that's really painful, right? So we're thinking, what would PayPal be like if they were designed today in the world of mobile? HTML5, fast internet, right? We're looking at how to make the checkout experience better for both the user and the merchant. So if you're interested, please come talk to us. We're in that corner in the back there, right? If you'd like to work with us, we'd like to talk to you as well. I suppose we can leave questions for later on, but other than that, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ruben. Thanks for giving us a glimpse into logging as well as the testing environment that Billpin uses. Last up, definitely not last but least, Pivo. So they have flew all the way from US, and they are a Y Combinator class of 12 startup. And Pivo is all about providing web developer services, especially if you're using voice and SMS applications. Well, Pivo might be a choice for all of us. So let them get connected. We have with us Nishad, who will be speaking.
Hi, everyone. So we are, like was mentioned, a Y Combinator startup from the batch of 2012. What do? We are a cloud telephony platform, and everything that we do under the hood is Python powered. Which brings you to the next question. What exactly is cloud telephony? So think of some of these applications, Google Voice, Skype, or GoToMeeting. Have you ever considered building an application like this for your business? What does it take for that? I mean, think about it. If you put a little thought, you'll have to think about how to construct your hardware switch or a soft switch. You have to work with the carriers, write up contracts with them. There's a lot of work involved in that. Right, so that's what we're looking to abstract. These are the things that I was talking about. Apart from that, there's obviously the developer operations effort you need to put into when you're maintaining such an app too. I've known companies that take up to 6 to 7 months to go into market for such applications. That's what we're looking to eliminate. This is what you can do using Pivo. That's it. 4 lines of code. I don't think that's 4 lines. That's technically just 2 lines of code. And you've made a phone call. That's the power that we want to use. We want you to include in your application. So you can see something called answer URL over there. What's that? Anybody can tell me what something like this would do? Yep, that's how you create an IVR using Pivo. You return XML of this format, and that becomes your IVR. So we have a small demo lined up just to show you some of our capabilities. Okay. That's a Singapore number. So I'm getting a call on the phone here. Let me pick that up. So because there's a callback from the phone, the JavaScript knows that I picked up the phone. All right. And we use a bunch of asynchronous APIs. One second. Usually happens during the folks. Yeah. You hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just barely, I suppose. But yeah, you can realize the potential of this, right? So suppose you were creating your own telephony platform and you wanted to say, dude, you're running out of balance. Just send out an API call like this, and that's how it happens. It's probably a very, I mean, I think we're the only people, we're the only company in the telephony space that allows you to do asynchronous API calls during telephony applications this way. So that's a short roundup of our technical capabilities. I think I have a lot of time left, so if you guys have any questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have a GladOS voice?
A what?
Do you have a GladOS voice?
Not right now.
Okay.
So, but we have an open source framework too, which is called the Pivo framework. We'd be very happy for you to try that out and include that voice into it too. All right. Anybody else? All right, I'm done. We have a booth there. I was done with the talk this morning, and we have 3 more speakers from Pivo who are going to talk about our technical experience and the difficulties that we ran into when we were setting up. And since we all use Python, I hope that experience will be invaluable to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nitishad. So once again, the startups booths are all around this hall. Do go ahead and speak to them, not only about the product, but also how they use Python technologies. Thanks. A big round of applause to all the startups who spoke today, and there will be more tomorrow. All right, so how many of you have seen some people playing with cards outside? Nobody saw that? Okay, one. So guess what? Luther will bring some light to what are these cards. Luther, up next.
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Luther. I'm one of the conference organizers, and I'm here on behalf of one of our Go sponsors, Odd-E. They are an agile training company. They've actually given us a box of 200 Scrum poker cards. Now, how many of you are students down here from Ministry of Education? Okay, these are not your conventional poker cards. Okay, I don't know if you can see them. All right, they got numbers on the cards, so I think 0, 1, 40, 100, and so on. And if you take a look later on, you'll see that these cards, instead of the conventional poker design, they're very aesthetically pleasing anime girls. Yeah, on the cards, right? So take a look outside. So these cards are conventionally, I don't do Agile or Scrum, but from a very quick Google on Wikipedia, it's basically used during the Agile planning process. in which the team actually assign points to a particular user story. Okay, so these are all free. So on your way out, remember to pick a box of these. And I think if you don't want to use them for Scrum poker, I think you can improvise them for conventional poker as well. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Luther. Indeed, don't forget to... Luther, each of us can collect a card?
There's 200 boxes of them. I think there should be less than 200 people here.
Yeah, so each one of us can have one or even two. Don't be greedy. Okay, each of us get one card, one pack of card. Great, so that was Startup Talks and a little bit of briefing by the organizing committee. Next up, we have lightning talks, and among you, you'll be coming up and sharing. So first up, we have PyCon APAC in Japan announcement by Rio. Rio, where are you? Awesome, Rio. So a little bit about the lightning talks. If you want to talk about it, just like what Rio did, he put up his talk in the whiteboard outside. He got voted by it, and now he will have 5 minutes to speak about it. So if you wanted, do go ahead and put your topic outside. You can speak it either today or tomorrow during lightning talks, and we have exciting prizes for that. Yes. So we will start with Rio. Rio, you have 5 minutes. Your timer is right in front about APAC Japan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm here. My name is Rio Kamiya. I'm from Japan. I'm here to announce that we are now going to host our PyCon APAC event first time in Tokyo. I think it's used to be hosted in Singapore for a couple of years, and we are so honored to have the one in Tokyo, one of the geek towns in Asia. And how many of you have been to Japan? And quite a lot more than I thought. Okay. Maybe how many of you have been to Japan with Python theme? No, right? So, okay, this is the first opportunity for you to make a trip to Japan with Python themes. And I guess maybe some of you may have some concern. I guess my chairperson is sitting there taking a camera there. And he asked me to do a sales pitch in here that making a trip to Japan is not so, some of you may think it's quite expensive, right? But actually there's a lot of ways that you can avoid an expensive trip. So I would take, maybe I used to live in Singapore before I moved to Japan. So you can take a bus trip to KL, you can take Air Asia from KL to Tokyo, and if you stay in a capsule hotels, like auction pot, that kind of things, that will give you one of the cheapest accommodation I think in town, I guess. And so that will save a lot of money. And on top of that, our generous chairperson also decided our ticket price is going quite cheap too. It's about 5,000 yen, it's about 70 Sing, quite reasonable. Yeah. And if you have quite many guys, so if you have wife and girlfriends, if you want to connect your girlfriend shopping with your Python trips, so that would be a really good excuse. And if you're the girl, of course, you can make a trip with connecting with your shopping trip too. And a little bit of the details about the trips. The conference we have on September, that's the date I'm talking about. So now 3 months to go. So it's a good time to start talking with your wife and girlfriends, your bosses, to book your vacation for the second half of the year. And for tutorials starting on September 13th, Friday. And so this is only for Japanese language only, but for the rest of the conference, we are all doing our kind of bilingual. It's got a challenge to us, but we are trying. And conference we have on Saturday and Sunday on the following those days, and also development sprints on the following Monday. That's the kind of public holiday in Japan. And also we just opened for the call for proposals. So not just a participant, but you can be there to talk to your Pythonians friends in Japan too. And also we are looking for the sponsors. So for those startups here, if you want to get some more presence in Tokyo, right? I think that's a really good opportunity for you to come up to Tokyo and give a little bit of sponsorships too. And I think that will be it, but I didn't come here with just empty hands. How many of you want to try to fly to Japan? Okay, I don't have the free air tickets, but we have the t-shirts here. So I'm not sure do you have a free t-shirts? How many t-shirts do we have? 5. Okay, so don't rush to him yet. Oh yeah, and there's some more stickers. So after this conference, if you have a break time, and you can either talk to Manabu over there, he's a chairperson. Also, Iqbal sitting over there. He speaks fluent Japanese too. Yep. So he's there too, and I'm also here too. So if you have any questions, I have lots of flyers here too. So if you want to take a look, let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rio. Thank you so much. So here's a question. Since Rio has flew from Japan, how many of you are flying from Asia to Singapore? Put your hands up. Which Japan, which other countries are you flying from? Indonesia, India? How many of you are flying from non-Asia? Right, we have Waze, of course, from US. That's great. So there are a lot of participants from all over the world, in fact. And thank you, Rio, once again for connecting us with Python and Japan. Great. So since we're talking about online stuff, the next lightning talk will be interesting. Where to run your Python code online. Who wrote this talk? Awesome. So that'll be Kamal. So Kamal will be telling us how we can connect Python and online stuff. So
hi, my name is Kamal. I've been doing development in Python and Django. I work at Marimo Inc., where we develop SMS-based web application in Django. So hosting is one of my interests. I've been doing web development maybe 10 years ago. Started with ASP and then PHP. So I always get interested to know how to actually run your code on the internet. We call that web hosting, but now the term is pretty loose. Means it's not just for web hosting. So first, we have a web faction. This is a traditional web hosting company, and they have a data center here in Singapore. But since it's not free, you have to pay a little bit money to use the service. So I won't spend much more on that. But the good thing of web faction is you got a SSH access. Means so it's pretty flexible to configure your applications. And then next we have, I think this is the best of all, we have OpenShift from Red Hat. So it's called Platform as a Service, PaaS. And so they have a concept of what they call a gears cartridge, which basically just an LXC container that you can using some sort of a client application, which sadly in Ruby, not Python. You can push your code to their servers, and the good thing also is you also have a SSH access, so you can log into your container, to your Linux container, to actually look around and configure stuff. So quite flexible. They also have a web console, so you can actually create application just from using a browser. You log into your web console, and then there's a button, create application. So you can just click a button, then you get your application running. They are pretty generous actually. They provide 3 gears with 512 megabyte each. So you got basically about 1.5 gigabyte of memory to run your application on your servers. And it's also quite flexible. Means if the platform or the environment that you want to run is not supported yet by what they provide, you can actually build your own environment on your servers. So it's quite flexible. And then next is Heroku. I think this is most of you already know about it. They also use a LXC container like OpenShift, but they call it Dino. So you basically for the free plan you can run as much application that you want, but you are limited only to 1 Dino. So maybe to just run a little bit application for demos is more than enough. But the downside is you don't have any DB access. So if you need to have a DB, they use Postgres. You need to DB to store some data, so you have to pay them. It's also extensible. They call it Billpin. So if the environment that you want to run is not provided by them, so you can actually build your own environment. For example, if you want to run maybe a Go application, Go application, for example, and they don't have official support for that, you can actually build a container for Go. Next, we have AppFork. AppFork also pretty generous in their offering, the free one, but the paid one is quite expensive. They give you 2 GB memory that you can run your application. They also polyglot like OpenShift, so it's not limited to Python. You can run PHP, you can run Java, you can run Ruby applications. One unique features of them is they have multiple regions to run your application. So, for example, if your user is mostly in Singapore, so you can select the APAC region to run your application, which is much closer to your users. But in terms of flexibility, it's quite limited actually. They have predefined directory structure, so you have to tailor up your application to match their directory structure, and you don't have SSH access. So if something wrong, you have to use the client to get the log and see what's wrong. So you can't pick around into the environment to see actually what's actually going on. But with 2 GB, so it's quite okay.
Thanks, Kamal. That was 5 minutes. So yeah, that was about where to run your Python code online by Kamal. Thank you. Thanks, Kamal. We have one more lightning talk. This is interesting. Misadventure with pandas and scikit-learn by swimming.
So, okay, it's going to look ugly, but ignore the side part. So, this is my misadventure with scikit-learn and pandas, aka your stupid mouse. Why we didn't submit our entry to UKGO during Big Data Week. So, my name is Suming. I'm actually an organizer of Python Malaysia meetups. During April, we actually organized a Big Data Week in KL. So we actually are involved in creating hands-on for people. So what we decided to do is, we're going to work on the Titanic dataset for very one reason alone. We're going to attempt to win the Kaggle competition just because we can. Of course, it's not really easy. So let's show you about scikit-learn. Okay, scikit-learn is a machine learning library, very hot, very cool. Except I'm not going to show you this, I'm supposed to show you this tab. So one cool thing about scikit-learn is it's very comprehensive. It covers from the standard library, from Bayesian, SVM, random forest. These are random forest model. And the coolest part is, it comes with cross-validation model. And what I didn't show you here is actually they got actually a standardized interface. .predict. Most of the function we have .predict, .fit. So this actually helps you to actually fit in your model very easily. So scikit-learn, easy to use, can test our stuff, awesome. What not so awesome is I accidentally adjusted my slides. Okay, so iteration one. We're going to using NumPy and scikit-learn alone. And before we can do that, we have us, Kaggle actually provided a CSV, so we're going to extract the data. Yep. And this is what happened. So what happened is, we're going to have 20 plus line, you're reading your data, load to your NumPy array, set your variables, do array manipulation. So the conclusion from this is, the fuck? So it's ugly, it's 20 lines of code. It sucks, all right? So then, recently, after that, okay, during the time I meet a new friend, introducing pandas. So pandas is really cool. Let me show. The data cleaning tool is awesome. Wes, thanks for creating data frame for Python. It's the best thing since sliced bread. So this is our data line tool. Okay. Look at the return. This is less than 20 lines of stock code. Because what happened is, what cool thing about a difference between a NumPy array and a data frame is that you actually got tag. You can think it like a tag column, which is actually very cool. It makes it very easy for you to delete your stuff. So bad data, VNA. You do not need data, you just clean data. So what clean data do is replace you. Okay, if I don't show you here, I also had a code to actually delete data. It's just like a dot delete or something. It's actually very nice. Except I got 1.5 minutes. So let's go to code again, which I already did. Now to score our code. Now this is pretty interesting. So what happened is I already created a few model. So we decided to try to use a random forest model, SVM, and one more thing I don't remember, but you get the source code later. So the code is like 0.7 percentile of prediction, which is not that bad, except, okay, this really ugly, but here goes. Okay, you hate me. Okay, so in short, the winners is around 80 percentiles. What the fuck? Again, okay, which is we get my top 20, we won't get top 10, so meaning we won't have any chance of winning at all. So in short, that is why we actually gave up to actually submit the competition. Yeah. So obviously more tuning needed. Didn't continue. Grab the code from that repository, talk to me later if you need it. And PPS, we're done. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Swimming. A huge round of applause to 9 lightning talk speakers, including the startups and those who came up to speak here. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.